9 weeks.
Both teams have had outstanding seasons. They've both beaten teams that neither teams were supposed to have beaten, but they have shown that they deserve to be here tonight, and we're up for an outstanding game.
On the year, both teams are 6-3 overall, and in District 12 5A play, both teams are 4-2. The situation is simply this. There are 2 teams tied going into this ball game, that being Louisville and Plano East. These 2 teams will see who wins and who loses. The loser goes home. The winner has a chance to go into a 3-way tie for second place, to be decided either by head-to-head competition or by the flip of the coin. So for one of these teams, certainly a chance to end 1985 on a big note as far as the regular season goes, hopefully to get into the playoffs. On the field, you see the captain's meeting, this being the last game. That's the reason for all the blue shirts for the J J Pearce Mustangs. The Berkner Rams, of course, in their white uniforms, the visitors, and the green numerals, and some green piping, green on their helmet along with their white helmet. Steve, talk about these 2 teams. Characterize for us and for the audience, if you would, Berkner. What type of team are they? And then let's take a look at Pearce.
Berkner is a running team. They've run the ball quite effectively all year long. They have a backfield that goes with running real well. Quarterback Scott Davis has the option of going with either number 20, Todd Burton, or number 32, Bobby Williams, and he's done that all year with great effectiveness. He also can throw the ball. He's got an outstanding tight end at number 87, as you see on your screen right there, one of the captains, Scott Rayburn, and also in wideouts, number 82, Brandon Hill, and Michael Jackson. Pearce, on the other hand, is similar to Berkner in the fact that they can run the ball. Their running back, Michael Bowen, has gained over 1,000 yards on the year. Their quarterback, David Clark, has shown that he can work well also. So I think that both teams, it's going to be a ball control game. I think that we'll see who can control the ball, maybe the team that comes out on top.
2 outstanding players, I guess, for each team. You mentioned both of them, Scott Davis, the quarterback for Berkner, and Michael Bowen for Pearce. Let's pause for our national anthem, and then we'll be back. Well, the crowd filing in on both sides of the stadium now. The wind will be blowing from the south. That is from the right side of your screen to the left. That will certainly be a factor. The wind tonight about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Look for that definitely to be a big factor in this ball game. Another aspect, at least personally on this ball game, knowing both the coaches very well, I can tell you they are both very apprehensive. They're both very nervous. Mike Jenkins from Pearce and Harold Hill from Berkner. But at the same time, they both told us before the ball game that this is what it's all about. It's really exciting to come down to the end of the season and to be playing for something. And certainly Harold Hill, since he came from the Dallas Independent School District, has not had this opportunity at Berkner. And Mike Jenkins, who had a great season, I believe he was like 8-1-1 in 1981, and
yes,
still did not make the playoffs.
Well, neither team has made the playoffs, so they're fighting for something that they've never had a chance to enjoy. So this ought to give them a little more incentive tonight. I don't think they need much more incentive as it is. They're pumped up as it is.
So sit back and enjoy it. It's going to be a good one, folks. Berkner in the white. They will be kicking from right to left. They will have the win. And J J Pearce will be receiving in the white uniforms. Monty Ward approaches the ball, puts his toe into it. The wind takes it high and deep through the end zone, and J J Pearce will take over at their own 20. We will check the lineups as they come onto the field and set those lineups for you as we go.
First and 10 from their own 20.
At linebacker, quarterback to start the game for the Pearce Mustangs will be a good one. Number 10, David Clark. Another outstanding ball player will be number 7, Bill Coyf, who will be a wide receiver. The backfield, of course, Michael Bowen and Alvarez, Denny Alvarez behind Clark. Clark options on the first play, and he will lose a yard as Berkner's big defensive line shuts him down on the first play as they option to the right.
Looks like the play just didn't quite go anywhere. He moved off to the right a little bit, option to option, but it wasn't anybody there to work with. Loss of 4 yards.
This Pearce team had a great ball game against Plano East a couple of weeks ago that propelled them for a chance for the playoffs, as it turns out. Bill Coyf splits to the right this time. I formation behind David Clark in motion. That is number 8, Jim Meekum. And Michael Bowen has the ball right up the middle. Good quickness, and he gets 2 or 3 yards. Will bring up about 3rd down and 7.
We'll see a lot of Bowen tonight. He's for the season, he's 190 carries for 1,150 yards, and has been Pearce's primary back ever since Greg Burton was injured a few weeks ago. So we'll see quite a bit of him.
We can develop that story later on, but certainly one to be told there. Meekum and Coy split to the left. Clark options left. He's going to be brought down out there by, let's make it number 90. Man, we don't appear to have a number or a name for number 90 right now. We'll check into that. However, the wind and the Berkner Rams stop the Pearce Mustangs on their first drive. They will be forced to punt.
Looks like Malcolm Sizemore is back for the Rams to receive the punt.
And it's a pretty good kick, considering into the wind, and certainly good coverage by J J Pearce, as Sizemore, the return specialist, is going to be knocked down right about midfield. So we will set the lineup for you for the Berkner Rams. Starting in the backfield, you're going to have quarterback Scott Davis, whom we have talked about. Bobby Williams at fullback. Todd Burton will be the running back. Brandon Hill and Bert Nelson will be the wideouts. We will check that line for you in just a bit. Number 12, Scott Davis, and he's a good one. Keep your eye on him. Twins behind Davis. Ball is given straight up the middle to Bobby Williams. Make it.
In on the tackle was Pearce linebacker number 22, James Malone. And
we saw last week Davis somehow brought Berkner back time and again against Lake Highlands in what we have seen to be the best game that we've covered this year.
With just a few minutes to go in that game, they brought him back down for a touchdown and were able to beat Lake Highlands and stay in it.
3 backs, and that's Todd Burton, and he may go as he breaks straight up the middle, found the right sideline, and was finally pushed out of bounds over there inside the 20-yard line.
Had that touchdown for him last week, so we'll see a lot of Todd Burton also. He's only a junior, so I'm sure that pleases Harold Hill, knowing he's got one more season with Todd Burton with him.
Well, that was an unusual formation for Berkner. We have not seen that in a couple of games. They put all 3 backs behind Scott Davis that time, almost a wishbone look, and Burton took it right up the middle, then cut to the right sidelines.
25-yard gain.
Make it 1st and 10 right at the 20-yard line. Just 2 backs, this time behind Davis. But again, good running room out there. Bobby Williams finds a couple. Looks like he was going to gain more than that, but
Malone for Pearce was in on the tackle.
Yeah, a nice tackle that time.
Moved across from the other side.
In the second half last week, Harold Hill said his team came out and simply ran the ball and decided to take it right at Lake Highlands. I would not be surprised if that was a similar philosophy that he followed tonight, trying to run right over the smaller Pearce team. Davis up the middle to Williams, and Williams will grind out a couple. It's going to be about 3rd and let's call it 6 on an early preliminary report there. If the ball is to be thrown, might look for Scott Rayburn. For the Berkner Rams, big number 87, who has done it all year, number 82. That would be Brandon Hill, splits wide to the right. There's that 3-back behind Scott Davis, and Davis is going to option to the right. He will be far short of the first down. Certainly with the wind behind him and right in the middle of the field, would not be surprised if Monty Ward was sent in to try the field goal, but so far no Ward across the sidelines. 4th and 5.
That last play, it looked as if Davis was going to option out with Williams to his right, but defensive lineman for Pearce, Chad Carrington, number 31, got in there and forced the Rams to have a 4th down situation.
4th and 5, and Harold Hill goes for it. He wants to throw, and it's touchdown.
By Michael Jackson, number 80.
So, what we see early in this ball game is throwing all caution and conservative play out the window. Harold Hill says it's 4th and 5, and we're going to go for it, and he gets it. Strangely enough, he only had one receiver out on the play. That was Michael Jackson. Everybody else was in tight. And the Berkner Rams very quickly jump on top tonight. Ward in the kick. Snap is down, the kick is up, it's high, it's straight, and it's good. I would not say that that will be the last score we will see tonight.
Not at all. I would expect quite a bit more. As you can see, both teams are going to be attacking very much. So
I think you're going to see that all night long, because Mike Jenkins said it may take 3 or 4 touchdowns to stay in this ball game tonight. I think that may have been Harold Hill's feeling, as he simply thought that 3 points this early in the ball game just absolutely would not be enough to help him at this point in time. So he said, we'll go for it. If we miss it, we will have the wind at our back and maybe play defense and still keep them down here. So 7:48 to go in the first quarter, and Berkner is on top by the tune of 7-0. Berkner, as we told you, with a strong wind to their back, going from our right to our left. Pearce, on their first possession, moved nowhere behind quarterback David Clark. That other offensive mates of his will be Bill Coy, Michael Bowen, John Boland, Tony Rothermill, Mike Sullivan, Brent Glevy, David Langrock, Denny Alvarez, make that Denny Alvarez, Tom Frank.
Field goal.
Well, it certainly is. That's a lot of wind. You think that wind's not blowing. So we will see what the Pearce Mustangs can do on their second possession. They certainly got nowhere in the first try from scrimmage. Berkner's big defense certainly doing the job. I still would not suspect that Pearce will get out of their running game. They will have to establish Michael Bowen if they're going to do anything tonight. I formation. This is Alvarez straight up the middle, and he's blasted after a gain of a couple.
Steve Benson, number 83 for the Rams, was in on the tackle.
There you see Mike Jenkins, old West Texas boy, talking to Jim Meekum, sending in the play. Meekum replaces number 23, John Bolin. That is Bolin, B-O-W-L-I-N, not Mike Bowen. Split wide to the right is Meekum. Coif to the left. Bowen will sweep right, and he is blasted and comes back for more. Tough little runner. That is Michael Bowen, B-O-W-E-N, 5'9", 170, and that's with a brick in his pocket. He is a senior, and now Mike Jenkins thinks that Michael Bowen, despite his size, definitely will get a shot to play college football on scholarship. Maybe not, he said, at a major university, but certainly somewhere. And Mike Jenkins says he has the speed, and he's tough enough. He has good football instincts. He can also play defensive back.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit if he was in a college uniform about this time next year.
Man injured on the field. We can't see exactly who it is. It doesn't appear to be too serious. But that will be the cause for the delay at this point in time. Mike Jenkins will certainly take advantage of that, as he will have David Clark and John Boland over to talk it over. Certainly on the play, it will be 3rd and 4 when we resume play. David Clark throws well. We have seen him in a couple of games this year, and he can definitely is a sprint-out type passer, but he can definitely throw the ball and move his football team. Showed a lot of determination against Plano East as he took his offensive team straight down the field late in that ball game with a couple of minutes left to beat Plano East. Final there was 22-21.
And further confused the playoff race for District 12 5A with that victory. It kept Pearce alive and forces Plano East into a tough situation in the final week.
Certainly hard to believe that with this ball game the regular season concludes and 6 weeks of the playoffs will begin. Try to check a number. It may be Denny Alvarez who was shaken up on the play. Helped off under his own steam, and we will see who replaces him in the backfield.
That is number 41 off the field for Pearce, Denny Alvarez.
Make it 3rd and 4, I formation. Meekum split to the right and Coif to the left. Meekum now in motion behind Clark. Ball is given to Michael Bowen. He is over the left side trying to get the first down. Certainly has the first down. Up over the 30, the 35, make it to the 36. It will be a first down for the Pearce Mustangs. And I'll tell you, if they let Michael Bowen run the ball 30 times, they're going to be hard to beat. And don't be surprised that at the end of the evening when we look up, Michael Bowen will have carried the ball close to 30 times.
A 10-yard gain on that play.
And he is some fine running back. Wide right is Bowen. Coif to the left. I formation behind Clark. Pitch back to Bowen. He cuts inside, cuts back outside. Boy, he has quick feet.
Sure
Just past the line of scrimmage. He gets back, and maybe he gained 1. He's a lot like Gilstrap that we saw last week, however, from Lake Highlands. You can tell a great runner just by the way they shift their weight, the way they move their feet. And certainly Michael Bowen fitting into that scheme of things, as does Eric Gilstrap.
Both of them show the ability to avoid blockers in the secondary and get the extra yards.
Twins to the right, Coif and Meekum. I formation, counter give, and wow! Michael Bowen popped.
Mike Mullenbeck for Burke, number 55, got through the line of scrimmage, and
that's 220 pounds or plus pounds against 170. Guess who won? Ooh. I'd like to have the Excedrin concession on that one. 5:32 and counting in the first quarter. As we have told you, if you joined us late, or as we have mentioned, if you joined us late, Berkner in the white uniforms with a strong wind at their back. Twins to the right, I formation. David Clark to try to throw. Throws. The ball is intended for Jim Meekum. Way high and incomplete, so it will be 4th down. Make it 4th and 11. Clock stopped with just over 5 minutes left in the initial quarter. Punt will come around the 22-yard line. Malcolm Sizemore back to receive the punt. The snap is good. Kick is away. It's high and not too long. Gets a Pearce bounce down past the 40 at the 38 down to the 37. And from there, the Berkner Rams will take over at 1st and 10. 5 minutes and 6 seconds left in the first quarter. Berkner up 7-0 in this one. And it looks like the same offensive unit is out there for Berkner. Scott Davis will be the quarterback. Todd Burton, number 20, will be at one running back. Bobby Williams, number 32, at the other. The wideouts, Michael Jackson and Brandon Hill. Wide out to the right, flanker back to the left. Scott Davis rolls to his right, wants to throw. Now Keeves tucks it under and makes the cut. He's back across the grain, is across midfield and down to the Pearce 48-yard line.
He's tackled by number 45 linebacker for Pearce, Darren Dobson, who is a story in himself.
How is that?
He's deaf.
Is that right?
He also catches for the Pearce baseball team.
I'll be darned.
So an outstanding athlete, not only in the fact that he's on the field tonight, but also that he's overcome a handicap.
You've been at the library researching today or what? 4 minutes and 38 seconds left in the first quarter. 1st and 10 for Berkner. Scott Davis certainly showing flashes of brilliance. This time he gives the ball up the middle to Burden. Burden is hit at the 46, almost leans to the 45. We shall see exactly where they mark it. It is short, whatever. Well, not that short. He picked up, a good 3.5. Let's call it 2nd down and 7, however, for Berkner. They're in their traveling white uniforms. Split in to the left, 3 backs, almost a wishbone, right behind Davis. Up and over should be Bobby Williams. He picks up a couple, maybe 3. That will make it, let's call 3rd and 3 for Berkner.
Chad Carrington, number 31 for Pearson, there again to break up the right side of Berkner's offensive line and keep Williams from getting any substantial yardage. Forces Berkner with a 3rd and about 5 yards.
Michael Jackson, number 80, splits to the left. Also a split into the right as Davis drops straight back to throw. Looks like a quarterback draw. He's on the run, gets to the right sidelines. He is at the 35, the 34, all the way down to the 32-yard line before he is finally pushed out of bounds to stop the clock at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That's where Scott Davis hurts you, not only with his throwing, which he can do adequately, but when he finds an open field, he can certainly pull it down and run. They're picking up another 1st down.
He dropped back, saw that most of his receivers were covered and moved off to the right, and his offensive line had cut off most of Pearce's defensive line, and he was able to sustain the Rams' drive.
Brandon Hill splits to the left. Everybody else in tight. Up the middle to Bobby Williams, and he's blasted. Looks like Eric Kogel and his teammates right there in the middle of the defensive front in there for Pearce. 2 minutes and 51 seconds and counting left here in the opening quarter. 7-0 Berkner over J J Pearce in a game that simply means everything tonight. Everybody in tight. 1 man split wide to the right for Berkner. Davis options left, wants to keep, and he's going to be corralled around the left end after a gain of maybe a half yard.
And on the tackle again was number 45 Dobson and number 20 John Carpenter, who both came up from that side of the defense to force the Rams with a 3rd and 10.
Make it 3rd and 11 for the Berkner Rams. Brandon Hill splits to the left. Jackson to the right. Draw play, and certainly won't be anything there on that one.
Nope. Pearce's defense was blitzing on the play, and they were able to close down Todd Burton.
And Tony Aventis certainly made a great play on that one. And you would have to think that Berkner will give up the ball on this 4th down, 4th and 14. Now the punting game is very important. Would not be really surprised to see Berkner let the clock run out this time, take a 5-yard
They
penalty.
are going to attempt a field goal.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see that either, certainly with this win. But they'd better hurry, either that or call time, because they were running short. A little bit of confusion there.
Looked as if Berkner's punting unit may have made it halfway out on the field and realized it was not what Harold Hill intended, and Monty Ward and the field goal team made their way on the field, and they had to call a timeout in order to avoid a costly 5-yard time penalty.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Monty Ward hits this one, this will be a major league kick, I can promise you that, from where the ball will be spotted somewhere in the neighborhood of a 55-yard field goal with a, say, 15 to 20 miles an hour wind behind him. Yeah. Still not so sure that I wouldn't try to take the 5-yard penalty, move it back past midfield where the snap would come, and maybe try to kick it out of bounds inside the 10, play defense. However, that's why Harold Hill is coaching and leading at this point in time. Snap is down, the kick is up.
Got the distance.
Off to the left,
Just
certainly
barely.
no good, and Pearce is held. They will take the ball over with 1 minute and 15 left here in the first quarter. Harold Hill says every time we get our hands on the ball tonight, we're going to try for points.
He definitely kept to his policy there as he had Monty Ward trying a 55-yard field goal.
Would you like to see our monitor, which is not provided by Curtis Mathis? I formation behind David Clark, I'm sorry. Clark gives on the draw play to Bowen. He finds room, goes around the right side, and holy cow, the last man that could did and stopped him from going all the way. I'm telling you, you give the ball to this little man 30 times a ball game, and you're going to have close to 200 yards total offense when all is said and done if he does nothing else but run the ball for 30 times. I believe in him that much. Certainly some of that, if not a lot of the credit should go to his offensive line, including Tony Rothamel, Mike Sullivan, Frank Levy, David Langrock, Alvarez, Frank, and Joe Loreno. Make it 1st and 10. The ball is at the 48. 2 backs behind. This is Bowen with the ball up the middle. No, it was not Bowen with the
Number
ball.
16, Sean Rogers carried that time.
Sean Rogers in for the injured Denny Alvarez. He gains 8. So make it 2nd and 2. Again, that offensive line really starting to push. And this is a big plus for Pearce to be able to run the ball going into what is a very strong win. What should be the last play of the first quarter. We're at 14 seconds and counting. Bill Coyf and number 23, John Bowen, split to the left. So they go straight up the middle. Again, looks like Bowen.
Tackled by Mario Shea, number 65 for the Rams, who's had an outstanding season.
He has the first down. There are 4 seconds left in this period. As soon as they set the chains, there it is, 2, 1, and none. So that is the first quarter with Berkner leading a moving Pearce team. The score, 7-0. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Eddie Clinton along with Steve Anderson. It is second half action. Berkner leads J J Pearce. Score is 7-0 at this point. And Steve, looks like the Mustangs are finally moving.
They are. They average about 192 yards a week on the ground in these past couple plays since they picked the ball up from Berkner just before the end of the first quarter. They've shown exactly why.
Clark with the I formation, pitch to Bowen around the right side. Look at that speed. He gets 4, 5, maybe 6 yards. Bringing up a, let's call it 2nd and 3 on the early call.
In on the tackle for the Rams was number 55, Mike Mullenweg, a defensive tackle. Moved across to make the play and brings up a 2nd and 5 at the 28-yard line of Berkner.
Clark still at quarterback. Split backs this time behind him. The ball again given straight up the middle. That is to number 16, Sean Rogers, and he will be short of the first down, I believe.
63 for the Rams. Chris Cottingham made the tackle. It appeared as if when Clark hiked the ball, he was a little hesitant there, so maybe that might not have been the play that Mike Jenkins and Pearce had in mind.
Eric Kogel and John Boland check in. Jim Meekum comes out, I formation behind David Clark. He pitches again to Bowen around the right side. Bowen with good balance has the first down. He is close to the 20-yard line, and the Pearce Mustangs are trying to move in and tie this score.
Very effective running game on this drive.
Yeah, that is a great play when they pitch that ball back to Bowen. That side of the offensive line just absolutely shields off the defensive end. The outside linebacker kicks or tries to kick the defensive halfback out, and then let Michael Bowen be one-on-one with the safety coming over, and more times than not, from what we have seen, Bowen's speed and quickness will beat most safeties. Timeout called on the field. I would have to think that Berkner is trying to regroup a bit here on defense as they're huddled around their defensive coordinator. That is John Boston, who for years was known as the architect for the Plano defense. He joined Harold Hill's staff about 3 years ago over at Berkner after Harold Hill moved over to Berkner from W.T. White and the DISD, as we mentioned earlier in the telecast. Wholesale changes for the Mustangs as they will face first down and 10, and the ball is at the 21. David Clark remains the quarterback. Jim Meekum will come to the left. Split to the right is Bill Coy. 5 formation behind Clark. Strong right on the line to the right.
He's going to throw the ball.
Clark wants to throw over the middle, and he almost hit the referee, who was wide open on the play. However, the ball was just, looks like it sailed in that wind that time. We talked about that strong wind. Not so sure that the wind is not close to 20 miles an hour moving from right to our left.
The flag in the end zone on that side is upright.
Is that like straight out?
Straight out, upright, yes.
Straight out and upright.
Showing full form.
Okay, Coy goes to the right. John Boland goes to the left. Split backs behind Clark. We're going to option left this time. Clark options to Bowen. He avoids one man, goes to the left sideline. Little stutter step there, change of pace. And he makes something out of not much.
It's about 8 yards on the play before he's brought down close to the sidelines by number 42 for the Rams, Bert Nelson. It's like about 7 yards.
He is like a water bug out there. He really is exciting to watch run the football.
That gives him for the evening 11 carries for 58 yards, so he's well over 5 yards a carry, showing that.
I told you, if you let him carry 30 times a game, you've got something. Jim Meekum to the right, everybody else in. Balance line, split backs. Clark gives up the middle to Bowen. Bowen fumbles, and the ball will be recovered by Berkner. Oh my, boy, after a long, good, sustained drive, Michael Bowen, fighting for the extra yardage, was tackled inside the 10, and he fumbled.
Coming up for the fumble for the Rams was number 30, Keith Brock, a defensive back, and also number 89 for the Rams, Earl Melbeck, pardon me. So what definitely appeared like a drive where Pearce would come up with some points, leaves them empty-handed, and gives the Rams a drive of their own, deep in their own territory.
Well, it's that type of play exactly right there that will either be forgotten or will be the biggest play of the game when they sit around the coffee shops after this ball game's over saying, what if we had converted that? What if we had done this? What if we'd have gotten a field goal? What if we'd have gotten a score? Back to play. Scott Davis kept on the first play. He picked up about 3, so let's make it 2nd and 7. .9:29 and counting left to go in the first half. Michael Jackson split to the left. Berkner strong to the right on this play with a wingback to the left. The ball is given to number 20,
Todd Burton.
That is Todd Burton, and he is slammed down.
Defensive lineman Chad Carrington for Pearce was in there. He's been in on quite a few tackles so far through the first quarter and what we've seen in the second quarter so far.
Now, I got to think when Chad Carrington was born, his dad pulled out a loudspeaker system microphone and said that name over and over just to see how that would sound. That sounds like a football player, Chad Carrington.
Tackled by Chad Carrington.
That's right. That's what it sounds like. Make it 3rd and 7. The ball, Davis with the option to the left. Wanted to throw, and now he has nowhere to go.
So early in the game, we saw Berkner suppressed Pearce's offense, and just now we've seen Pearce do the same to Berkner.
I believe that was Robbie Sparks and company in on that defensive play. I'll tell you, I think the wind makes a whole lot of difference because you're not going to throw very well moving from left to right. With that wind, ball will have an awful tendency to flutter. That could get you in trouble. Speaking of trouble, we will see how the punting game for the Berkner Rams into this wind will fare. I believe this will be the first time they would have had to punt tonight.
Brent Harriman for the
And there
Rams.
it is. Look at that wind, just absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Hit a wall and is killed at the 32-yard line. You talk about great field position.
Pearce is happy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Be able to see now if Pearce can keep up that great running game they had going there at the beginning of the second quarter. I'm sure that Mike Jingles will be using pretty similar to the same plays.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he went right back to the pitch to Michael Bowen, which is what he fumbled on the last play that he had the ball, just to show them that, dadgummit, we're going to make that work.
That's right.
I formation. Clark wants to throw.
Got a
Straight down
receiver.
the middle, wide open, and oh my gosh. Ball was very badly overthrown.
Intended receiver was Jim Jenkins, number 83 for Pearce, and it
Tight end.
was able to beat the receiver, but it just appears as if the wind took that one a little farther than David Clark had in mind.
Wind is posing problems for both sides. Tough to throw into, and it's tough to gauge how much to throw it when you're throwing with the wind.
Right, because
Bill Coif to the right. John Boland to the left. Split backs behind David Clark. He options left. Michael Bowen has running room. Gets by one man and breaks it inside the 20. And boy,
that's the play that we saw earlier that he fumbled on.
that kid is a nice running back. Not very big, but my, is he shifty. Make it first down and 10. There will be 7 minutes and 41 seconds left in the first half. Ball is at the 18-yard line. Jim Meekum checks in. John Boland comes out and has a couple of words with Mike Jenkins. I formation this time. Coy splits to the left. Meekum to the right. Clark gives to number 16.
Sean Rogers.
That will be Sean Rogers.
Mario Shane on the stop for the Rams.
Make it, let's call it 2nd and 9.
Down to about the 17-yard line.
Jenkins, who was overthrown earlier, comes out. Got twins to the right, Coy, and that is Jim Meekum.
He fumbled the ball again.
Good grief. And Berkner is saying that they have it. Looks like the Sportatorium at the
Sure
bottom
does.
of the pile.
They're both fighting for it, and they're going to give it to the Rams.
I'll be darned. Pearce stops themselves again.
Number 65 for the Rams, Mario Shane. Looks like he came up with the fumble. So that's twice now within 5 minutes that we've had a Pearce drive moving, and it's been stopped by a turnover.
And Mike Jenkins talking to Clark and his defense wanting to know what's going on. So let's make it 1st and 10, 6:43 left. Ball is at the 20. Berkner with the ball. It's given straight up the middle, and boy, that's a tough run right there. Appears to be Todd Burden, and he's going to have a couple of tough yards straight up the middle. As Berkner still appears to say, we've got the wind in our face. We're going to line up, everybody in tight, and we're going to run it right at you. Not a whole lot of passing in this ball game with the wind either way. A definite size advantage for Berkner in the line. Michael Jackson split to the left. Also a man split to the right. Scott Rayburn shifts from left to right.
Pitch out to Williams.
Bobby Williams around the left side, and boy, that's a nice play there.
Number 22, James Malone, a linebacker for Pearce, was able to move across and work into the backfield and stop Williams on the pitch out.
Berkner trying to influence Pearce's defense by moving tight end Scott Rayburn from the left to the right, hoping that the flow and the overshift would go away from that side and then running back that way. However, it did not work. The linebackers for Pearce doing a good job.
The Rams were only able to pick up a yard on that play and force a 3rd down and 5 situation.
David McCollum split to the right. Davis to throw, now being pressured. There's, well, we've got a face mask right there. What we're going to see back at where the quarterback was an inadvertent face mask
on Pearce. Davis was able to get the throw off, and Scott Rayburn was able to get underneath it, so he caught the ball.
Let's let the ref call it.
Didn't have much to say.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
31.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Anytime.
Rams declined the penalty and kept the pass. Gave them a 1st down.
Was that sign language?
I missed it.
Huh. Yeah, we'll talk to him at halftime. David McCollum to the right. Split backs behind Scott Davis. Looks like good blocking this time, but boy, I'll say, that Pearce defense is able really quick.
And a lead blocker, number 70 for the Rams there. Mark Cunningham was in front of Burton, but the Pearce defense was able to work around him in number.
Well, I'll tell you, Berkner's offensive line is so large. Looks like they could seal off Siberia. Good grief.
They've been effective all year long. They've enabled the Rams to run the ball considerably, and they've protected Davis.
How would you like to be a dad and have to buy groceries for that group? Give me a break. Strong right. 3 backs behind Scott Davis. Ball up the middle of Bobby Williams. He is across the 40-yard line to about the 42. Bill Coyf in for Pearce. There's some of the stands.
Berkner fans there.
Is that Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, I think that was.
It's incredible. I didn't know he was here tonight.
I saw his wife earlier.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Try to get a shot of him. He may be singing at halftime.
He backs the bands up.
3 minutes and 47 seconds. Michael Jackson to the right. Also another man split left for Berkner. Here comes Pearce.
Davis
nice
to throw.
blocking. Davis wants to run now. Pulls it down and runs. He's going to have that 1st down. Boy, is he dangerous, as we mentioned before. He is so dangerous. He does not throw the ball that well. It would be interesting if Pearce would try to adjust their rush and perhaps have their men guard against him running the football. Let him throw the football, especially into the wind. See if they can take advantage of that. We will see if Mike Jenkins and his defensive staff will adjust at halftime and perhaps take advantage of that. Number 82, Brandon Hill to the left.
He's going to throw it.
Wants to throw over the middle. Oh, my goodness. Good pass, good catch. And I don't know how you defend any better than that right there.
Brandon Hill was able to move across on a slant pattern, and Davis hit him for about a 10-yard gain.
Good drive by Berkner after taking over another Pearce fumble. Take a measurement.
Yep.
See what the officials have to say.
See if Hill got 9 yards or 10 yards. Looks like it's a 1st down.
Certainly was. Well, that's a big play right there. Make it 2 minutes and 53 seconds left here in the 1st half. 1st and 10. Ball is at the 41. Impressively for Scott Davis, able to throw into that strong wind. Doesn't look like it's died down much. That flag is still upright.
All right.
Michael Jackson split right. Davis keeps after a nice fake into the line. Now he's going to run, but not on that defense and not that time.
Number 22 for Pearce, James Malone, once again able to make it through the line of scrimmage and into the backfield and just wreak havoc all over the Ram offense. Davis is thrown for a loss. But I would not be surprised to see if Harold Hill and Scott Davis went with a few more of those bullet passes.
Who called the timeout? Did you happen to see?
Pearce did.
Pierce. No, the referee just pointed to Berkner. You got
Well, I
a
had a-
50-50 chance.
So I took the wrong 50.
Oh.
What do I win? What do I lose?
Picked right up where we were last week, didn't we? Well, Mike Jenkins obviously telling his defense that we're down 7. We really can't stand, folks, to get down any more than this in this second half. Although, you got to remember, he said before the game, it would take 3 or 4 touchdowns to win this ball game. If that holds true, I guess it's a cliche to say we've got to hold them out this time.
Had a couple of chances there that have, within 20 yards, that have come up with fumbles, so this could definitely be a different ball game.
Yeah,
right now.
that's really true. They have dropped that ball deep with the wind at their back a couple of times already tonight. David McCollum comes to the right. Brandon Hill to the left, looked like a screen pass. Ball is overthrown, intended that time for, looked like Bobby Williams.
Rams had set up a wall for Williams. About 4 or 5 blockers in front of him if and when he caught the ball, and the ball was just on his fingertips, and he was unable to make anything out of it.
Well, I would not be surprised to see Harold Hill go for 2 more downs if they don't pick up the first down here. No, I wouldn't. He's gambled all night. It's 3rd down and 11, 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first half. So I guess you're in 4-down territory. We'll try to guess along with Harold, continue to guess along with it.
He's going to throw again.
There's your sideline pattern. Oh,
First down.
My goodness. Michael Jackson has the ball. He gets
Inside the 20.
Close to the 20. I'll tell you, that is an absolute killer when your defensive back comes up on an out like that and misses that tackle because he's all by himself.
Somebody from a middle flat would have to make across the field in order to make the play, and when he did, it was an extra 10 yards. So the Rams now
it may have been 20. Who knows? Make it 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Clock is stopped. David McCollum to the right. Hill
Davis
to the
back
left.
throw.
Davis does want to throw. Has good blocking. Ball hangs up in the air and
good
being
coverage
picked
by
off. Sure.
number 24 for Pearce, Jeff Tuthill, 5'11", 167-pound defensive back. Senior was able to get in there and disrupt the Rams.
John Boston told me after last week's game, Berkner and Lake Highlands, that Scott Davis is the best competitor he's ever been around. He also says the funny thing about it, he looks terrible throwing the football. Said they played in the rain earlier this year, and it was like a shot put. He said the only thing, it didn't hurt Scott because he throws that way all the time. So he throws wet or dry, same way. Here's another pass. Whoa, my word.
David McCollum a touchdown, so the shot put scores.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. And we have somewhat of a surprise, I would say, here as Berkner jumps out to a 13-0 lead. That pass covering 21 yards from Scott Davis to David McCollum, slanting in over the middle, and he goes in on a nice catch. Nice throw and a nice catch into this wind. And Berkner puts a big one on the scoreboard, make it 13-0. And now Monty Ward will come in to try to add the extra point. Davis to hold, kick is up, and it's good. So Pearce will definitely have their work cut out for them, won't they?
They certainly will. They'll have a minute and 50 when they get the ball back, and we'll see if they can try to make anything out of it now, or if they'll wait till the second half and work with it.
Well, you got a minute 50 left in this half.
You're going to have the win with you.
You're only down by 14. You got to go for it. You can't, at least I don't think so. What do I know? I wear a headset. I don't wear a whistle. But I don't think you just say, let's check it in and adjust at halftime. I think you've got to try to score now. They certainly have got, if nothing else, a long guy for a field goal kicker. I've seen him kick 50-yarders this year in practice and attempt one in a ball game, so he can kick with this wind behind him. I think David Clark throws well enough, and who knows, with the speed that you've got with Michael Bowen as the offensive back, he can certainly go all the way at any time. scores certainly, which will be old by the time this is played on a Wednesday evening, but some of the scores on this last weekend of regular season play bringing the crowd to their feet. That an early score that Greenville, who is winless, is leading Plano
10-7.
so not only is this game
Surprising, but so is
hard to
North.
call. Who knows? Monty Ward approaches the ball, puts his foot to it, kicks it on the ground, kind of a squib kick. Ball is taken by one of the up men, and Pearce will have good field position up across the 35, make it to the 36. So with 1:47, it will be 1st and 10 from the 37. J J Pearce, with no score thus far in the ball game, will have the ball. David Clark will still be the quarterback, and he goes in there with number 8, make that Jim Meekum. Look for David Clark to roll out and throw. Bill Coif to the left this time, I formation.
Meekum in motion.
Thank you very much. Meekum in motion. David Clark wants to throw. There is Meekum. And Meekum has it. Yes, sir. That is a nice throw and a nice catch that time. Jim Meekum set to his right. He came in motion behind the line of scrimmage all the way across the field, cut up the left sideline, and David Clark hit him right on the numbers. 1st and 10. The ball is up at the 37-yard line for Berkner. I told you they weren't going to sit on it. Huh?
26-yard gain by
I mean,
Meekum.
how smart do you have to be to call this game? John Boland split to the right, Coif to the left. Ball is given to Bowen right up the middle. He's going to have about 6 as the clock winds down to the 1:30 mark. Yeah, the game could be tied if Pearce doesn't leave the ball on the ground a couple of times early in this second quarter. I guess late in the first quarter and early in the second quarter here. So you got to think about that. They've been down there a couple of times tonight, but they've left it laying on the ground as they fumble the ball.
Definitely is giving this game a different face, and score could easily be 14-14, or Pearce could have had 2 shots to score.
I like David Clark. I know Mike Jenkins also likes his senior quarterback. As we talked about, he brought him back against Plano East to win that ball game 22-21. A few fans for the Pearce Mustangs got a few gray hairs as Plano East missed a field goal. I think it was about 22 yards with 19 seconds left in the ball game. Holy cow.
But that game enabled them to stay in the playoff
You
race.
got it. I formation. Coif and Meekum split to the left. David Clark wants to throw. Big rush. He's in trouble. And he gets back to the original line of scrimmage, which is going to bring up about a 3rd down and 10. Minute 17.
Keith Brock, number 30, was the blitzing defensive back on the play, and the call paid off as it now forces the Mustangs into a 3rd and 10.
Tell you what, I'm still not so sure if Bruckner's going to play pass. I'm not so sure that I don't draw to Michael Bowen this time, though, just being a devil's advocate. You got Meekum in motion across the field. Looks like the same play they ran that they picked up the big yardage. Clark's in big trouble, and he's going to be down back at the 45-yard line with 44 seconds and counting left here in the first half.
Ball pushed back to the 45-yard line, and
now you
bring in David Levette, your kicker, as Pearce is doing right now.
61-yard field goal. Look at that.
They're going to try it, and it's going to go to about a 62. It'll be a 62-yard attempt, and the national NFL record is 63. Set in 69
by
Tom Dempsey, I believe.
That's right.
The man who had a half a foot for the New Orleans Saints. Now Levette trots off the field, so whether or not
62-yard field goal try. I tell you, we better go down and check that wind. It may be blowing stronger than 20 miles an hour, but that's exactly what they're going to try. You know,
wind data.
And Levette is over on the sidelines,
He's
and they're
moved on.
talking. What do you tell a field goal kicker? You know, what does a coach tell a field goal kicker?
You put a 4-leaf clover in his pocket?
Look at this.
62-yard attempt coming up.
Clock will hold. Here's the snap. Hold is down. It's going to be well short. Going to be well short. It only went about 50 yards that time. 62-yard field goal try. Could have had a real Hail Mary right there, you would think. But whatever. 62-yard field goal try. Incredible. 15 seconds left now in the first half. Wind will be in Berkner's face. Do not see Scott Davis going for the touchdown. Don't believe he can throw the ball that far, but we shall see what Harold Hill
Has up his sleeve.
has up his sleeve. I promise you this, he will not have Scott Davis go back and go down on one knee.
No.
Column right. And it's a draw play. Bobby Williams has the ball, moves left, trying to beat a man to the left sidelines, and does he get out of bounds? Yes, he does. 6 seconds.
About 10 yards on the carry. It looks as if it may be a first down.
Well, I'm sure that Mike Jenkins will give him another 10 yards if they want to run another draw play.
They're moving the chain, so it was an 11-yard gain down to the Pearce 45.
And that's the end of the first half as the time expires on us. So let's make it at halftime. Bruckner 14, J J Pearce nothing. We will be back. Stay with us. We'll have the bands for you.
We're going to back at Musk. Has 2 turnovers that have both come within the 20-yard line of 20 yards of scoring, that is, and have been extremely costly as we see our halftime score 14-0.
We're going to have a pop test at the end of the third quarter.
I'm going to fail it.
On stats. So the game is really even. I guess the 14-0 would be deceiving, except Bruckner will not take anything else but that score. So let's let it stand. It is 14-0. Bruckner will receive. They are at our left. J J Pearce in the blue uniforms will be going from right to left. They have the wind. So this, if they're going to get back into the game, you would think would be in this quarter. The kickoff, naturally, with the wind behind his back, goes high and deep and into the end zone. Malcolm Sizemore downs it there. And Bruckner with that 14.2 touchdown lead will take over 1st and 10 from the 20.
Despite the win so far, Bruckner quarterback Scott Davis is 5 for 7 for 79 yards. And as we said earlier, has touchdown passes to number 80, Michael Jackson, and David McCullum. So the Rams have been able to throw the ball both directions with the wind and against it pretty effectively this evening.
Certainly living up to the coach's expectations that Scott Davis is a money ball player, if you will. And there's a great fake, but also a great defensive performance by the Pearce linebackers and linemen there.
And on the tackle was number 66, defensive lineman Robbie Sparks, who helped disrupt that 5-yard loss for the Rams.
They get 2nd and 15 just underway here in the third quarter. One of these teams will go home. One of these teams will have a chance to possibly qualify for the postseason playoffs, depending on the outcome of this game. Here's the give to Burton. Burton breaks one run, one tackle, and goes up the right side and will be a couple of yards short of the first down. Make it 3rd and 2, 11 minutes, 4 seconds left in the third quarter.
13 yards pick up on that carry. It brings up a 3rd down and 2.
Bertner shuttles their wideouts. Those include Michael Jackson, Brandon Hill, Brent Harriman, and the big tight end, as everybody is in tight this time, is Scott Rayburn. Power I formation on 3rd and 2. Davis options right, pitches back. The ball is fumbled, and Pearce has the ball.
Linebacker James Malone able to come up with the Bruckner fumble. And as we see the Mustangs have given the Rams a dose of their own medicine, and now they're just 25 yards from the end zone. Great field position for Pearce.
You know, we were chit-chatting off mic during the halftime, and I think both you and I are in agreement. We don't know how this game's going to come out, but I think it's going to be a heck of an outcome. I don't think 14 points will separate these two teams. I formation, Bill Coif to the right. Looks like a reverse. This pass to Jim Meekum, a handoff. Meekum now will run. Wanted to pass. He has a lot of room. He's down the right sideline, and he is close to the 10, if not inside the 10. Oh, boy, what a play. Ball pitched back to Michael Bowen. Bowen handed back to Meekum. Meekum looking to pass. Couldn't find anybody to throw to. Kept the ball. Good blocking on that far side over there. It may have been David Clark on the block. As Jim Meekum goes down the right sideline, and he's going to be pushed out at the 5, I believe.
20-yard gain.
So with 10:28 to go, I think this game, unless there's an unfortunate turnover, will get tight in a hurry. Power I formation. This is Michael Bowen. Tripped up there by number 55. Boy, that was a good play.
Mike Mullenweg on a tackle.
Yeah, he knifed right in. That was really a nice defensive play that time.
A pickup of 1. It will be 2nd and 4.
Only got 1, and most of that because Mullenweg had such a good defensive charge, got low and tripped Bowen up before he got a full head of steam, was able to squirm between the blockers. 9:57, third quarter, just underway. Power I, this is Bowen again. And boy, he nearly broke that one, didn't he? Did he fumble again?
No, he just got up on his hands and knees and started crawling towards the line of scrimmage.
Hey, he's so short, though, you can't tell when he's on his knees. Looked like he went flat that time and fumbled.
5'9", 170-pound senior has been very effective for the Mustangs this evening.
I really like him. He's an exceptional running back. We have a timeout now for the Mustangs. Mike Jenkins will make powwow down in the turf in front of the bench.
3 yards from scoring here on 3rd down.
This is where the coach looks at the quarterback and says, "What do you think? You're my field general. Make a decision." Going to build some character here. I'll tell you what, you know, over the past couple of years, we have done a Richardson Independent School District Coaches Show. And they're absolutely a great bunch of guys. I knew some of them before we started the show. But it was a real pleasure for me as Mike Jenkins huddles along the near sideline there. You can't hardly see him now. It was a real pleasure for me to get to know Mike. And he is really a funny guy, and I really like the way that he handles his kids and is all for the kids, and he's a real pleasure to know. I know right now he doesn't know you or me from a jar of Vicks because he's caught up in this ball game, but I guarantee you as soon as the game's over, he's a heck of a guy. Let's go back to play, and holy cow, was that a great defensive play or what? Good grief.
Jim Sheehan carried for the Mustangs. Didn't pick up any yards, but got to know quite a bit of the Berkner defense really quick.
Well, you got to think what? Bowen wide left, or maybe a lot of real estate out there. Bill Coif is a great receiver. Yeah, we've got another timeout. They might throw the thing, but I can't see that Bowen just doesn't sweep left and try to either cut back or sprint for the corner of the end zone. You got so much territory over here.
With his speed, that'd definitely be a good play because he'd be the man to...
I mean, I want to put you on the spot. What you call here?
I'd call that.
Okay, Coach, you're going to call a pitch left. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
And I'm going to give it to Bowen.
Somebody get on the phone and tell Coach Jenkins that we need to go pitch left. The thing you have to look out for, if you split a man on that side and he comes back to block, however, possibly chance of a clip, illegal block, that type of thing. So it'll be interesting. Back in the game, Jim Jenkins, Jim Meekum. I believe you're going to take the pitch to Bowen this way. I'm going to take the option run throw by David Clark coming left. Here we go. Plays on, and we're all so right. Michael Bowen scores around the right side. There he is.
Certainly.
Oh, boy.
The option, as you see him running across the field,
That's right.
was his play.
That's great, I'll tell you. And this ball game has tightened up considerably. Nice call, Michael. All right. Got a short side of your field. You pitch it back, run to the short side of the field, let the little guy go get it. So we have the kick. Kick is up. I believe we have a flag, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check this out. Let's hold it here while we check the flag. We do have a flag. They're going to decline. It is on Berkner.
You want that point? And it...
Yes, sir.
I would definitely think they'd want the point.
We want that point. Give us that point. So, boy, what a ball game we've got now, as we all knew that it would be, didn't we? It was 8:58 left in the third quarter. And let's make the score Berkner 14, Pearce 7, and another turnover. Is that the first turnover tonight by Berkner?
That certainly is, and it's also the second turnover that has resulted in a touchdown on the following drive. Pearce fumbled the ball earlier, and that enabled the Rams to... Scott Davis threw to David McCullum for 21 yards after quite a lengthy drive that consumed 5 minutes, pardon me, of the second quarter. So both teams have been able to take a turnover in for a touchdown.
There's your score. Jim Martin, our fine director, who went to Lower Botswana on vacation last week. Became a little ill. Hope he gets to feel better. So the Pearce Mustangs. Now, would it be wise? There was a penalty on the extra point try. They moved the ball up. It is now at the 45 of Berkner. Might be an onside kick here. Might be a little bouncer. Let's see what happens here.
It's a 55-yard field goal.
The ball is now in Plano.
Plano.
It just kicked it to Plano.
Get somebody from maybe a Plano stadium to throw it back down so we can keep this game going.
Do you think we're trying to make too much strategy of this game? Just put it down, kick it. Just give the ball to Bowen, run it. Okay, all right. We'll call them like they see them. 8:58 still left in the third quarter now. Score is 14-7. Berkner with the ball. Scott Davis still the man at quarterback. 2 men behind him. Everybody in tight. Davis gives the ball off to Todd Burton, and he's going to pick up 3 yards before he is level there. That young man right there, number 66 for the Pearce Mustangs.
Robbie Sparks, the defensive lineman.
He's playing a heck of a ball game, I'll tell you that.
He's only a junior, too.
He's playing a heck of a game. 6'2", 196. That's a pretty good-sized junior. Michael Jackson split left. David McCollum split to the right. And this is
Davis with lead blockers.
Davis looking to option left. I really don't know whether he's optioning or just keeping all the way himself. He likes to run that football. He kept left. And he will be, see where they spotted. He will be a couple of yards short.
He had Mike Mullenweg, number 55, in front of him. And it took number 33 for Pearce, Eric Kogel, the defensive lineman, to come from behind to make the play. And it looks as if it's just going to be within a yard of a first down.
Well, let's call it 3rd and 1. 7:47 left in the third quarter here. I like that music. I may dance along on this one. Power I formation. Davis keeps, and I don't think he got it. It's going to be close.
He's laying on the 30-yard line, but it doesn't look as if as a reaction from a few Rams.
No, well, I don't think he got it. I think he fell after they backed him, stacked them all up. Well, let's see. Does Harold Hill gamble here? It is 4th and a foot. At your own 30-yard line? No,
he's going to bring the punting in.
Wait a minute.
Nope.
Now they start. Now they come back. What's going on the far sideline over there? 6:57 and counting. Do we have the punter in? No, I think Harold Hill is
going to call a timeout right now and discuss it with his team.
I think he's decided to, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's decided to talk it over. So, should be an interesting discussion over on the far sideline. As he gets together on the far sideline with his quarterback, that is Mike Jenkins, and with his quarterback, David Clark. Up the way from there is the defensive huddle for the Pearce Mustangs. I tell you, that would be a gutsy call if Harold Hill, but it's so close. I mean, how in the world behind that big offensive line can you not go for 4th and a foot? Well, that's silly to say, how can you not go? You're on your own 30-yard line. A lot of things
you have to consider that if Pearce regains the ball, they may do what they did on the very last drive and take a fumble, or in this case, a 4th down turnover in for a touchdown, and that'll bring the game even, and the Rams, I doubt, would.
I'll tell you what, Harold Hill has gambled all night. He's going to go again. 4th and about a foot.
And he's taken
from his own 30-yard line. Everybody in tight. Hello, quarterback sneak. Hello,
first down.
Todd Burden. And my goodness, if he keeps his feet, he's got a bunch. What happens on that is when your defensive men all stack up like that, if you pop that first one, you have a chance. You have a chance to go a long way.
So he gets a foot and about 8 more yards. Moves the Rams to about the 38.
Make it 6:43 and counting. We're still in the third quarter, 14-7. Berkner, who led 14-0 at the half, is still on top. Pearce scoring with their last possession after a Berkner turnover. Split into the left, flanker back to the right. Man in motion behind Davis. He hands off, going right is Burden again, and oh my goodness, what a tough defensive play.
John Carpenter, defensive back, moved up to make the tackle. Stopped Todd Burton alone.
Yeah, James Malone also helped that. Nice. I really like Pearce's defense. They've just moved to the ball very, very well. And, of course, Berkner, if they can continue to drive into the wind, get a long drive, and eat that clock up, maintain control of the ball, they're going to be in good shape. Michael Jackson to the left. Ball given to the first man up the middle. Is that Bobby Williams?
Bobby Williams.
So he
up over the 45.
gets him about 6 yards on that play and brings up another third down situation.
Carrington and John Carpenter.
Make it 3rd and 3. Ball is at the 46.
Pick up a 6.
Their own 46.
3rd down and 3.
Todd Burden's certainly carrying the ball a lot tonight for Berkner.
He's 10 carries for 61 yards, so including a 25-yarder in the first quarter.
Brandon Hill split left. Oh, my. Man in motion. Little illegal motion that time by the flanker back, and that will cost them 5.
Also bring up a 3rd and an 8, which will make the Rams situation a little more difficult. It's one of the first penalties we've had in this game also.
So make it 3rd and 8. Ball is back at the 41-yard line. Save the world. Save the game. Nice beanie. Jackson left. David McCullum split to the right. Single back behind Scott Davis. He wants to throw. Ball hangs up.
Incomplete.
I'll tell you what, that's a scary pass when that ball hangs up like that, because if that defensive back gets there, it's
going to be a touchdown.
Sayonara.
Right, there was no one in between him and the end zone. So
except Harold Hill, I'm not so sure he doesn't make the tackle. So Bill Coyth will drop deep for the Pearce Mustangs. Remember, the wind is a vital factor in a kicking game tonight. You kick with it, you get to try 62-yard field goals. You punt into it, You may get 20 yards net. We
Brent
shall
Harriman
see.
has his work cut out for him as there's a Pearce rush.
And he gets it away. The ball dies a little bit. Holy cow. Coy fumbles.
And they give it to the Rams.
And the referees say that Berkner controlled the ball before it got out of bounds. Mike Jenkins wants to talk about that. Boy, that is a tough break.
Coy's had it up near his shoulder as he caught the ball and moved and didn't wait before he had control before he started running and moved toward the sidelines.
What was hard to tell, though, was whether Berkner controlled the ball, but obviously they did because they now have the ball.
Keith Brock came up with the fumble for the Rams.
Oh, my. Make it 3 turnovers on the night for the Pearce Mustangs. Tough one. 4 minutes and 32 seconds left. Bobby Williams has the ball, and he's going to get about 2 or 3 over the left-hand side.
Bobby Williams, the ball carrier.
It would be a giant score should Berkner score going into the win here in the third quarter and go up by another 14 points, and Berkner would have the ball and the wind in the fourth quarter. So just a giant shift in momentum here, I think, should Berkner push this one in. They are at the 33. Scott Davis gives the ball off to Todd Burden, and Burden's going to be certainly up close to the first down and maybe has it.
Somebody's down on the field for the Rams. I can't see his number. Back near the line of scrimmage. Looks like one of the linemen.
There is an injured Ram on the field.
Number 76, John Nate for the Rams. An offensive tackle will be coming out of the game as they measure if it's a first down or not.
So it's going to be just short, make it third and just a little bit. 3 minutes and 48 seconds left here in the third quarter. Ball is up close to the 25. Berkner trying to put some distance between them and the Mustangs. And Scott Davis will lead them up to the line. David McCallum split right, single back behind Davis. Looks like there might have been some motion, but I don't guess so. Davis keeps himself. He's certainly down inside the 20.
Inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line.
Inside the 15. And we'll be at about the 13. Is that Berkner Van? Whoops, sit up. Whoops, sit up. Always wanted to say that. Whoops, sit up. 3 minutes and 28 seconds left in the third quarter. Scott Davis, described by some of his coaches, John Boston and others, as the best competitor they've ever seen, or coached, I should say. Certainly doing it again tonight. Ball is given to Williams up the middle, and no thanks.
Bobby Williams.
Smacked hard there by number 22. That is James Malone. He had some help. Big defensive series here, counting down to 3 minutes for the Pearce Mustangs. Have they had the ball once or twice in this quarter?
Pearce has had the ball
Once and a punt, right?
Yeah, once.
And received a punt. Right. Wow. That's not taking very much advantage of the wind, is it? Davis to throw, swings it out. That's to Todd Burton. He tries to get to the sideline. He's going to. Oh, boy. He may.
Touchdown.
Yes, sir. He scored. What a play. What a play by Todd Burton, who took a swing pass and makes those passing statistics look good the next day as he simply ran the ball in himself from the 12-yard line. He was fighting Jeff Tuthill for the end zone. He got around Tuthill and scored. And that is a big possession. And now you might see the Pearce Mustangs really go to the air with just under 3 minutes left here in the third quarter.
Also the fumbles. All three of them this evening are looming larger and larger.
That's right. Try for extra point is down. The kick is up.
It's good.
So are the officials' arms, and that is good.
So Davis providing all the Rams scoring this evening with touchdown passes. He's had a
Remaining in the third quarter.
Has he thrown 3 touchdown
He's thrown
passes?
3. He's thrown a 15-yarder to Michael Jackson, 21 yards to David McCullum, and, of course, we just saw the 12-yarder to Todd Burton.
Wow.
So the Rams making good use of that.
Well, you can say touchdown pass, but I'll tell you what, Todd Burton did most of that last score all by himself, although Davis drove the team down the field. Well, it's either put up or go to the house for the Pearce Mustangs. They have a little over 14 minutes left in the regular season.
And with that, they've got to come up with 2 touchdowns and hold the Rams in order to stay alive in the playoff race.
Well, we certainly know that Pearce can strike quickly. I think they have the better team speed. But I think the key to what you said was they've got to stop Burton.
Yes.
They've also got to quit turning the football over. So we shall see. When the ball is kicked off by Monty Ward, it will be Malcolm Sizemore and friends deep for Pearce, including Sean Rogers. Don't believe the football will get to them that deep. Will probably come to an upback since he is kicking into a strong wind. And the ball is along the ground, hits and skips. Bill Coif comes up with it. Coif up the middle. Now he's in a heap of trouble. He's going to be knocked down at the 15-yard line. Holy cow.
Ward's kick was a bullet just off the turf and was able to skip down to about the 5. And we said it didn't think it would get there, but down there must not be much wind because it scooted behind Coif.
The St. Louis Cardinals didn't hit a ball that hard the whole World Series. I'll guarantee you that. Well, let's see what David Clark, senior quarterback for the Pearce Mustangs, can do with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left here in the third quarter. The Mustangs moving right to left. Bill Coy and Jim Meekum will be split to the left. I formation behind Clark. Clark to throw, trying to take advantage of the wind. He throws long down the middle. The ball is tipped away, intended for Jim Meekum.
Covering on the play for the Rams is number 22, defensive back Brian Smiley, a junior. Was able to get a hand on the ball just as Meekum tried to catch it, and they both went down as we saw. So
that was a nice play, too. Good pass. Nice try for the reception and good defensive play. So that brings up 2nd and 10. Meekum going to come out of the ball game this time. We will check the lineup changes for you in just a moment. High formation behind Clark. Strong side of the line set to the right. Pitch to Michael Bowen. He sweeps right. Oh, what a move. He gets to the sideline. First down and more and more.
You said earlier at any time Michael Bowen with the speed could strike for Pearce, and that was a great example of that play as the offensive line was able to move outside. And
did I say that?
you said that. So chalk one up for you. So
yeah, but finally got something right. It's taken me 9 weeks, and I finally got something right. I'll tell you, that kid can play, and he's as good as a long pass anytime, sometimes better when you're going into a strong wind. Let's go with Meekum to the left, split backs, Coif to the right, ball given to Bowen, straight up the middle, and that is power football behind that offensive line and the little running back, Mike Bowen. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the third quarter.
Bowen is 19 for 128 on this evening, so Pearce is making great use of his talent, as we saw in the previous play, a 34-yard gain, which moved him just up, a 29-yard gain, which moved him just up to midfield.
John Boland left along with Bill Coif, I formation. The ball given to, looks like Bowen again. Yes, it is. He's going to be short of the first down. He picks up a couple on the play. Minute 38, 37, 36 and counting in the third quarter. Ball is at the 49. It's going to be 3rd down and 3. Jim Jenkins in for the Pearce Mustangs. I'm telling you, if you give the ball to Mike Bowen 30 times a game, you've got 200 yards.
He needs 10 carries and 75 yards to make that. And
you got it.
Any previous performance is any indication of that. There's a very good chance he'll reach that this evening.
Course to the right, I formation. Clark to throw. Now wants to run. Has the first down. Hold on to the ball, and he's there. First down. By saying hold on to the ball, I'm not trying to root for Pearce. What I am saying is that I want all the kids to do the best they can. This being the last game for one of the teams, you want them all to do well and let the best team win. Twins to the left, I formation. David Clark with the ball, gives to Bowen. Bowen goes to the right. Now he's in trouble. Captured by a couple of defenders.
Number 42 and number 44 for the Rams, Bert Nelson and Kurt Greer, who have worked well as a tandem all season, able to make the stop on that play and gives Pearce a 2nd and 12 at about the 43-yard line.
Jim Meekum comes in. Jim Jenkins comes out along with John Bolin. 22 seconds and counting left here in the third quarter. Mike Jenkins trying to encourage his ball club. 2nd down and 11. Ball is at the 43. Coy to the left. Meekum to the right. I formation behind David Clark. He wants to throw. Looks, winds, throws, long and incomplete. Jim Meekum trying to get under the pass down there. There will be one more play left here in the third quarter. 6 seconds to go.
Once again, an example of what the wind can do with the pass. Quarterback David Clark lofted a little high. Took it right over Jim Meekum's head, pardon me, and it was incomplete.
Third down and 11, last play of the third quarter. John Bolin, Bill Coy split to the left. Clark to throw. He's being rushed hard. Throws back to the right. Ball is short, but Mike Bolin makes a nice catch. That will set up a 3rd down, make it a 4th down play, but that is the end of the third quarter. So with our score, Berkner 21, J J Pearce 7. Let's pause. We'll be back with the fourth quarter after this. Folks, there is 12 minutes of football left in the regular season for one of these teams, and this is Richardson Pearce. Oh, my goodness. What a big play by that little man, Mike Bowen, that time. Oh, good grief. It was 4th down and 6. Michael Bowen got the pitch, went right, got the first down, and is trying to keep that Mustang regular season and postseason playoff hopes alive.
Broke a couple of tackles and moved right down to the 21 before he was knocked over by Kurt Greer. And as he got up, he flipped the ball back to Greer, kind of.
I think we've got a great finish in store. 11 minutes and 33 seconds left in this ball game. Berkner and Pearce, both 6 and 3 on the year, 4 and 2 in District 12 5A play, battling it out. One of them has a chance for the playoffs here. Up the middle they go this time, just on a straight dive. The ball was given to number 32. That is Jim Sheehan. And here come the Mustangs.
Picked up 7 yards on the play. Up the middle. 7 yard in a cloud of dust. It moved them down to within the 15.
I like it. I hope they're firing right when the last clock goes off and see who wins this game. I think that would be a fitting season to a couple of fine ball clubs, I'll tell you that. Whoa, ball given straight up the middle that time, and what a pop that was as the ball went to Sean Rogers. Rogers will go back to the huddle and say,
Thanks
for blocking, you guys. I saw what you did for Sheehan. 10 minutes and 34 seconds left in the regular season. And counting. 3rd down and 1. Ball is at the 12-yard line. Jim Meekum in. Gives David Clark his play. I think I'm going to call Mike Bowen. What are you going to call?
Mike Bowen.
Thank you.
It's unanimous.
And split right and left. Option. David Clark keeps himself. Certainly has the first down. That's the important thing right now is the defender, number 44 for Berkner, Kurt Greer, was trailing Bowen all the way. David Clark displaying good quarterback sense and held on to the ball. 10 minutes, 5 seconds left in this ball game. Just whole gobs of time left in this one. All kinds of fun things will happen before this one's all through.
Clock running.
John Boland checks in. He splits to the left. Bill Coyce to the right. Split backs behind David Clark. Ball is given to Mike Bowen.
Inside the 5-yard line.
No, I'm sorry. The ball is given. That was number 16, Sean Rogers.
Got down to about the 4-yard line.
I'd like to say all the mud on his jersey obscured his number, but I can't. Meekum back in. Boland shuttling the plays, obviously. Number 32, Jim Sheehan, checks in. He will be in the I formation. Twins to the left. David Clark, the man under. The line is strong to the right. The pitch is to Bowen. He has good blocking. Can he get there? No, he can't. He's taken out, right at the 5-yard line.
Right at the line of scrimmage, moved out of bounds by number 63 for the Rams. Chris Cottingham, a linebacker, junior at that. Move over to make the play and force a 3rd down for Pearce.
Again, Pearce ran back to the short side of the field. That is where the ball was marked on the hash mark.
The ball's on the right hash. They've got the entire left side of the field almost to work
Yeah,
with.
but don't you remember Mike Jenkins called the touchdown play going to the short side of the field when they scored?
That's true.
So let's see what's in store here. John Boland split left. Bill Coyce split to the right. David Clark with the ball. He wants to throw. He's got some pressure. Now he runs. Oh, my goodness. He slips down.
At about the 2-yard line.
At about the 2. It's going to be 4th and goal. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, because they started this. It was 1st down and goal at the 8, so they've got to go for it here. Because with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game, a field goal will bring them to 21-10, and that won't suffice.
They'd better hurry.
They have
Sending in some men here.
They have 1 timeout remaining after calling 2.
8 minutes and 28 seconds left in the ball game. Jim Meekum splits to the left. They'd better hurry. David Clark calls them down.
Flag.
The ball is too much time. Let's wait for the call. Thank you, sir, for the call. Good grief, that hurts. Now, that's almost like another turnover.
It is, because it forces a 4th and goal at the 7-yard line, and whereas they were a 4th and goal at the 2. So
what a killer of a penalty. 8 minutes and 10 seconds and counting. Now Clark, you would think, would be forced to throw. He does.
Intercepted.
Good grief. Ball is intercepted. Big play there by number, is it
22, I believe,
22.
for the Rams. That's Greg Bear, a defensive back.
Well, that's a big play right there, and that's another turnover. Make it 4 in the game, if I'm not mistaken, for the Pearce Mustangs.
That's correct.
Oh, boy, and that hurts. You're down to about 8 minutes left in the ball game. You have a chance to move within 7, and the turnover bugaboo hurt you. Imperative that the Mustangs play great defense. Not good defense now, but not let Berkner.
3 downs and a punt. Which
Yeah, not let Berkner get a first down.
is about the only thing they can.
So we shall see. Scott Davis still the man under. The dive play, boy, and it opens up big. Todd Burden, it opens up real big. It's a foot race now, and Todd Burden may go all the way.
He will.
Yes, sir. He is at the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown, good grief, turn out the lights. This one's tough.
Number 82, Mike Lister for the Mustangs, was the last man at about the 35. There's a flag on the field at the 24-yard line. Down here on the Rams, on the Pearce side of the field, the Rams side of the field, pardon me. So now we'll have to see exactly what the call is. It's against the Rams. Scratch everything.
Oh,
A
mercy.
99-yard touchdown run. As you can see on your camera right there, on your Todd Burton, definitely crushed.
Not to mention tired.
We compared the NFL field goal records. The NFL record for longest run from scrimmage is 99 yards by Tony Dorsett. So that was, we're playing with the pro records tonight.
I did not see the call. There it is.
I believe it was a clipping.
Heading 31.
Clipping, and boy, is that tough or what? Instead of 99 yards, it is a 1st and 10. The ball is moved just outside the 10-yard line to about the 12 or 13. Whew, what a turn of events. It's incredible that things could happen that fast. 21-7, Berkner. Michael Jackson goes to the left. Strong right on the line. Almost a wishbone look in the backfield. Ball is given straight up the middle to Bobby Williams. He's tripped up as he gets to the 15. 7 minutes, 37 seconds, and counting in this one. That's not in the game, folks. That's in the regular season. Split backs behind Davis, flanker to the right. Davis keeps himself, and he's in all kinds of trouble back there, I'll tell you that.
Number 45 for Pearce, Darren Dobson, the linebacker we talked about earlier, one of the 7 men down on the line, 6 men, pardon me, down on the line of scrimmage for Pearce's defense on that play, as they threw Scott Davis for a 2-yard loss.
Make it 3rd and 9, 6 minutes, 42 seconds and counting, 4th quarter. Ball is on the 13-yard line. Berkner trying to take all the time they can. Get a punt off. They will have the wind at their back. Pearce will have to drive for 2 scores
in little time.
Just a time. So let's see what Scott Davis does here. He fakes. He wants to throw. He looks. He throws. And the pass is going to be, yes, going to be complete.
To David McCullum, number 28, who has a touchdown pass to his credit this evening.
Referee is up close to the 30-yard line, and if that stands up, which it will, that is a 1st down. And that's a tough blow for the Pearce Mustangs on the play.
15-yard gain on the 3rd and 8. They were hoping to stop the Rams and force a punt, but it's not the case as we see.
Clock is certainly ticking, all in Berkner's favor here. Now back to the power backfield formation. You can look, keep the ball on the ground. Todd Burden has it. They will run some clock. They being Berkner, content now with that 14-point lead, and they're thinking playoffs now. If things stand as they do currently, Plano.
There is an injury on the play.
Well, yes, we have an injury on the field. Plano, Louisville, and Berkner would make the playoffs.
And be forced into a situation where they'd have to
handle the coin?
Well, let's see. If Louisville, Berkner, and Plano all win, Plano East would advance because Plano East would have a better head-to-head record against both teams. They have not lost to Berkner or Plano. And Plano's lost to Berkner, and Berkner's lost to Plano East. So if that's
well, we're going to get so confused here.
That will be in over our heads.
There you go. And besides that, we'll be
3
days after the fact, and everybody will say, why are they talking about that? Hate to see here with this game winding down anybody injured. Certainly it's been a hard-fought game between these two teams. A lot of respect for both teams. As we told you, both came in with identical records. Harold Hill enjoying his first real success at Berkner, and Mike Jenkins trying to get his club back up in the upper echelon of District 12 5A.
You know, outstanding season in 1981, but back then only one team made the playoffs.
Can you imagine going 8-1-1 and sitting home?
On the first, that'd be a little disappointing. I believe that was the year that Lake Highlands won the state title.
That's not too shabby.
So, definitely a banner year for RISD football. This year is also worthy of mention with both these teams right up there in the playoff race down to the final Friday night. So,
You know, I find that really to be the case statewide this year in high school football, though it seems like so many district races
right.
not between one or two teams, but between 3 or 4 or 5. You know, South Grand Prairie, who was 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the entire Metroplex for most of the year, now has a great chance of not even making the playoffs. Grand Prairie, the same way, who 2 weeks ago was clearly the district leader, now maybe not even making the playoffs.
defensive lineman number 66, Robbie Sparks, making his way off the field under his own
he's
power.
played a great game.
He certainly has.
Way to go, Robbie. Hope you're okay, because he has played well tonight.
You're mentioning districts. District 11 5A, this district that contains only Dallas schools, also has had an outstanding year. W.T. White, Kimball, Carter have all had competitive seasons. And District 11 5A plays District 12 in the playoffs. So
Full house backfield. Scott Davis keeps and pitches around the right side. Have to check that number.
Todd Burton, number 20.
It is Todd Burton. Didn't look grimy enough to be Todd Burton, as much work as he has done tonight. 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Clock is really an enemy for the blue and red and white J J Pearce Mustangs at this point in time.
Third and 5 here. One of Pearce's last opportunities to stop the Rams and still have plenty of time for 2 attempts. Although they even know with 5 minutes to go, it'd still be difficult.
Single back and in motion. That is Michael Jackson. No, it is Todd Burton. I'm sorry. Scott Davis has the ball. Wants to throw down the middle. Man wide open. Oh my! It's a foot race now.
Brandon Hill.
That is Brandon Hill.
Touchdown.
And that's going to score, and that may turn out the lights.
No flags on the play. As a 66-yarder from Davis to Brandon Hill, who had beaten his defender, makes that Scott Davis's 4th touchdown throw of the evening. So we've seen tonight the ability of Scott Davis as a throwing quarterback, where not too many people have given him credit for that all season long.
I think I described him as a shot
putter. Yeah, he's an outstanding shot putter.
We're talking Olympic quality here. Oh boy, what a night for Scott Davis and his receiving corps. That's a big league play right there. Extra point kick is up, and it is good, and so that makes it 28-7. And I'll tell you, if you're a Mustang fan, you are certainly, if you haven't given up hope, you're white-knuckled right now, I'll promise you that.
Scott Davis told me earlier in the year, after the Rams had beaten Plano in the final minutes, that he thought the team still had a chance at the playoffs, and his performance this season has kept them in it all season long. Of course, you know, he was injured in the 3rd and 4th week of the season, and the Rams lost both those games. But they've rebounded and stayed in it all the way to the end.
Well, it will be a long 4:49 because I can promise you the ball will be in the air as far as the Mustangs are concerned. This could turn out to be, strangely enough, one of the more lopsided losses that Pearce has scored, suffered the whole year, I would think. I'd have to go back and check it. Kickoff certainly is through the end zone, and the Mustangs will take over at their own 20.
It'll be 1st and 10, Mustangs from the 20.
As this side of the field suddenly quiets down, but there's the Pearce band still
active,
still shaking and baking. So let's make it David Clark, number 10, still in at quarterback. We will check his offensive backfield mates, we would suspect. Bill Coif, Michael Bowen will certainly be a couple of those as Coif and Jim Lovett come to the right. Clark to throw, He does. Over the middle, ball is tipped. Are there any flags?
None visible as
And we have no flag. The ball was intended for Jim Meekum.
Greg Bear, who intercepted the pass earlier, dragged down Meekum on that play, and it'll bring up second down.
Boy, it is tough to try to throw into that wind. As we have talked about tonight, wind is so tough. John Boland comes in along with Sean Rogers into the backfield and as a wideout respectively. Boland splits to the right. Bill Coit goes to the left. Split backs behind David Clark. He keeps himself. Now options out to Michael Bowen. And Bowen is planted right there.
Michael Bowen advances the ball.
Brought down by number 42, Bert Nelson, on the play for about a 5-yard gain.
Looked a little harder than it was as Bowen's feet went out from under him just as the defensive back arrived.
One thing about the wind this evening is that it has been consistent throughout the whole game. It doesn't come and go, it stays. So teams have been forced to play with that all night.
David Clark to throw. He's throwing long. The ball is intended for Lovett again.
Greg
Or make
Bear.
it Jim Meekum. And there is Bear again. So it's incomplete.
Incomplete.
Tried to add a second interception to his credit this evening, but as he fell down, the ball squealed out of from underneath him. So bring up a fourth down for the Mustangs.
Would certainly like to thank our spotters tonight. On my right, Mr. Brett McCann, and on my left, number 5, Chris Clinton. I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks.
Right. The men in the booth.
Pitch back on fourth down is to Michael Bowen. He will be short of the first down, and that may be the final nail that goes into the coffin. That is the 1985 football season for the Pearce Mustangs.
Fourth quarter, Richardson 17, Lake Collins 10.
So we have 3 minutes and 55 seconds left in this one, folks. Harold Hill has his offensive team over there gathered around him saying, let's take the ball and run it down the field. 28-7 is the score. You know, you have to congratulate Harold Hill. They've had a really fine year. On the other hand, let's congratulate Mike Jenkins and his crew, who have also had a good year, and what a class program they are, just as Bertner is.
Todd Burton will not go down.
Well, he's having fun, isn't he? Well, I don't blame him.
Inside the 20.
I really don't blame him. Burton inside the 20, and
Mike Lister.
maybe Harold Hill said, let's run it down, but Todd Burton said, let's run it over.
Got about 12 yards on the play for a Bertner first down. At about the 18-yard line.
If indeed a score that we heard earlier, East leading Louisville, that will give Bertner a flip of the coin.
Yes.
To determine who makes that second spot. Oh boy. Dive up the middle to Bobby Williams. Williams has 2 or 3 yards.
We also have to keep in mind that if Plano wins, then if Bertner does win, as they imperative that they will, Plano East wins, we will have a coin flip, like you said earlier. I didn't believe you.
Must be an echo in
Must
here.
be. It took a while to get it back.
Would you tell Michelangelo about painting? 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the ball game, folks. Bertner still has the ball. Davis to Burden again. Burden makes an awfully nice move there to get over a couple of blockers, and he may score. Oh, my! What a great run by Todd Burden. And our hats are off to the Bertner Rams.
It's Burton's second touchdown of the night. His first coming on a 12-yard pass from Scott Davis. So the celebration continues on the Bertner side of the field. And the score is now 34-7. Got a player down on the field, can't see his number. Trainers are attending to him. Looks like one of the linemen, however. Number 70 is down. Mark Cottingham, senior guard.
Let's see if we can get a shot down on the Pearce sideline. Richard, Mike Jenkins is talking to his quarterback. Incredible that the score is 34
to 7.
to 7. Mike Jenkins is standing on the sidelines, and maybe that picture says it all right there. Talking to his quarterback maybe about the next series. Maybe just sharing that common bond right there that, big fella, this is your senior season, and I know it's going down the hill, but I thank you for what you've done for me. That is what I think Mike Jenkins may be saying to David Clark on the sideline. See if we can get that shot in a minute. Extra point is up and good. Make it 35 to 7. Oh my, all of a sudden this thing is turned from a very close ball game. Now, let me back up here. Was the score not 14 to 7 when Pearce failed to get in the end zone?
Yes, I believe it was.
And from that moment on, the game has turned totally Berkner's way. Incredible what 4 turnovers will do to you. When two teams are as evenly matched as this, one team turns the ball over that many times, and that opens the floodgates.
The score was 21 to 7 when the interception took place. So that's still
Gotcha.
would have meant a difference in touchdowns, as Pearce would have most likely scored. And of course, it's hard to say whether or not Berkner would have been able to run the ball in.
So in all probability, it would have been 35 to 14 instead of 35 to 7.
I'm not a soothsayer.
Well, we will count this one down. 2:39 left in the ball game. We certainly thank you this year for tuning in and watching, and we hope we brought you some of the best quality football in the RISD. I know we've seen some awfully young teams. I think Richardson has a lot coming back next year, as does Lake Highlands. Sure.
And both these two teams have players coming back next year that will. He's going to run it out from 6 yards in.
Well, it looks like Coy says, I'm taking this one back. Check and see, and you know, Bill Coy's a senior, and he says this may be the last kickoff I ever return, so I'm going to bring this one out.
A couple of flags on the field, one of them right by where Coy was tackled at the 12-yard line, and one of them further up the field. Let's just wait and see what the calls are on those.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Thank you. I did not think he was going to say anything. I'm sorry about that.
Clipping on Pearce and a face mask on the Rams, so we'll bring the kickoff back. If you can predict that one, who do you like in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, right. Well, you know, as we were talking about the young teams in the district, the young players in the district, Lake Highlands was ranked unfairly, I think, at the first of the year so high in the Metroplex. They were so doggone young, but now those players are going to come back, and we certainly saw them play tough last week.
No question.
Against Berkner, as a matter of fact. Many quarters thought that Lake Highlands should have beaten Berkner last week.
It took until late in the fourth quarter to decide that game when the Rams scored with about 5 minutes to go.
So they're going to be back. Mike Jenkins has his program established at Pearce. Harold Hill, you know, it may be that this is the start of a lot of success that Harold has had in his past. Maybe this is the start of that success over at Richardson Berkner. Who knows?
We've given a lot of credit tonight to the Berkner offensive line, and as an example, tackle Mike Mullenweg, guard Mario Shane, and guard Chris Cottingham will all be back next year, so they'll have those big kids back again to move mountains.
Boy, I'm telling you, they are large. Certainly like to thank the officials from the Richardson School District, by the way, Bill Atkins and all the fine folks, Alan Holliday. for allowing us to come out and share the games with you this year. Thank them for their help time and again. This time there'll be no kickoff as the ball goes through the end zone, and we will count it off with under 2.5 minutes left in this ball game. Yeah, you think they're not ready for the playoffs at Berkner? You bet. I don't blame them either. So here come the Pearce Mustangs. David Clark ending his high school football career, the quarterback. He's going to give the ball to Michael Bowen.
He is not down yet. He's going down almost to midfield from the 20-yard line. Broke a few blockers and kept going. He's down to about the...
How many yards does he have?
Another
You can
Mustang
come up
give
with
us
a number
an
here real quick.
unofficial count. Speaking of ending your high school career, that is certainly the case for Michael Bowen, number 12. And as we've talked about earlier in the telecast, he is such a fine player. We've seen him a number of times this year and just so appreciative of his talent. John Boland splits to the left. Clark the man under. He will give the ball to Michael Bowen again, and Bowen is 2 or 3 yards over the line of scrimmage.
Michael Bowen moves the ball inside the 50 and 2.
Interesting call here by Michael Jenkins with time running out.
John Canopy.
Maybe he figures Michael Bowen can go the distance at any time.
With those 3 yards right there he just gained, for the evening, Bowen is 28 for 183, so he's having an outstanding game.
Needs those 2 carries to get, 17 more yards to get 200. There's the pass that was batted away by David Clark.